So get system service context.notification underscore service. This method is used to get what? The built-in notification service into activity class. This method is used to get the current notification service into your activity class. You know, right, what is meant by notification first? So every Android device contains, for example, imagine this is a device screen. This is a device screen. So every Android device contains this notification bar. So in the device header section, so we call as a note. This area is called as a notification bar. This area is called as what? It's a notification bar. By using notification service, we can display a notification. We can display on notification bar. We can display a notification, our own notification. We can display on notification bar. Okay. So my requirement is very simple. We'll create a button. We'll create here called notify. We'll create a button. We'll create called what? Notify is a button. So we'll create a button called notify. So once if you click notify button, so display a notification on notification bar. If you click notify button, display a notification on notification bar. Okay. So this is the requirement. Get system service context dot. This method is used to get what? The built-in notification service into activity. To manage this service, application framework is providing a class called notification manager. To manage this notification service, application framework is providing a class called what? Notification manager is the class name. So let's create an object for notification manager. Let's create an object for notification manager. So notification manager is equals to notification manager of there is a method called get system service is a method. So context dot, we have to specify the service name. We have to specify context dot notification underscore service. Okay. So this is a method to get the built-in notification service into activity. So notification manager is equals to notification manager of get system service is the method. We have to specify the service name. We have to specify context dot notification underscore service. With this statement, we'll get the built-in notification service into activity. Okay. Just give me 1 minute because the code is changed from the earlier versions. From Studio onwards, they deprecated few classes. They deprecated in notification. So let me check once. Because in a previous patch, I faced few problems with this notification. Just give me a second. Let's see. Just 1 second. I'm checking the code. I'm checking. Okay. So for displaying the notification, we had to create an object for displaying notification. We had to create an object for notification.builder. If you want to display a notification, if you want to display on notification bar, we had to create an object for what? Notification. So builder. We'll do one thing, parallelly first, because I'm also new to this one, because it's not in the earlier versions we don't have this notification builder. In the earlier versions we are having so notification class. Okay, so directly we'll write the code. Okay, so let's start Eclipse, sorry, Studio. Let's create a project, start new Android Studio project, specify the project name. So notification test is my project name. Okay, next, empty activity. So let's create a XML file, activity underscore main.xml. So we'll create a button here. So we create a button we created. Let's configure the click event for this one. Notify. Okay. So in the XML file, configure the on-click attribute for this. So on-click is equals to notify. Okay. So Android colon on-click is equals to notify. Okay. So let's create a method in Java. Notify is the method name. View is input parameter. Okay. So if you want to display notification, if you want to display notification, if you want to display, what is the first step? So first we have to get the notification service we have to get. So let's create an object for notification service. If you want to get the notification service, if you want to get first, there is a method called what? Get system service is a method. Get system service is a method to get the built-in notification service into activity. Context dot notification service. So to manage this notification service, application framework is providing a class called. To manage this notification service, application framework is providing a class called notification manager is a class name. So let's create an object for notification manager is equals to notification manager of get system service context service. Okay, so we'll get the built-in notification service into activity class we'll get. And if you want to display notifications, if you want to display, so we had to create an object for notification compact dot builder is equals to notification compact dot builder is equals to So new notification compact dot builder of this, I mean the activity object, the current activity object we have to specify. Okay, and so for this notification compact builder object, we have to specify what is a notification icon, because whenever you got a notification, first it will display a notification, right? So here it will display a notification, it will display. Okay, it's a small icon we call as, because there are two icons are there. One is the small icon, here it will display, and once if you drag that notification, it will give the complete description about that notification. That is the large icon. Okay, so first we'll specify that image. What is the image you want to display for notification? The notification object dot, there is a method called set small icon is a method. Okay, let's specify the image name. See, whatever the image you want to display as a notification icon, we'll place that image, will place into drawable folder. Okay, so what we'll do is, no, let's do one thing. So wheel is one image. I downloaded this image. I downloaded. Let's copy this image and so place that image into this drawable folder. Okay, so I want to display this wheel image as a icon. Set small icon r dot drawable dot specify the image name. Wheel is the image. Okay, so this is a, and once if you drag the notification, once if you drag this notification to give the more description about that notification, once if you drag the notification to give more description about that notification, so we had to specify this one. Set, another thing is set large icon is another thing. I mean, once if you drag the notification also, you'll get one more image you will get. But here for this large icon, set small icon, set large icon. See, what is the input parameter for this large icon method? It is taking the bitmap object as an input parameter. What is the input parameter? Bitmap object is an input parameter. So let's create an object for bitmap. Let's create an object for bitmap. Bitmap bmp is equals to bitmap bmp is equals to, there is a class called bitmap factory is a class. Bitmap factory dot decode resource is a method name. Decode resource is a method. So here specify the resource file name. There is a method called get resources. Get resources dot, and there is a method called get drawable is a method. Wait. Okay. So get resources dot get drawable of. We had to specify the image ID. We had to specify r dot drawable dot v. So let's see. It's showing some wrong thing. Okay. Maybe it's showing some wrong. Cannot resolve method decode resource of drawable. 1 second. Basically, we place the image in drawable folder, but directly cannot specify the drawable object because large icon method is taking the bitmap object as the input parameter. So bitmap factory dot decode resource is the method. Decode resource. We had to specify two parameters. One is a resource object, second parameter is a file ID. If you want to get the resource object, if you want to get resources is a method, you'll get the resource object you'll get. And r dot drawable dot file wheel. Okay. The bitmap object will get. So now we had to set this bitmap object, we had to set to the large icon, we had to set the bitmap object to large icon. Okay. So we got a small icon, we specified large icon, we specified. And once if you drag the notification, if you see clearly, if you see the WhatsApp notifications, so first you will get a message. First you will get a message as For example, if you take WhatsApp, you'll get a message as message from so and so person name. And once if you drag that notification, once if you drag the notification, it will display the notification title will display. For example, I got a notification from Manoj. So first it will display as message from Manoj. Once if you drag that notification, it will display as Manoj, and below of that, it will display message. It will display what are the message it got. Okay. So large icon. If you want to specify that notification title, you have to specify notification dot. There is a method called set title is a method. See set content title. Set content title. So what I'm doing is just I'm specifying a message. Sample notification. Sample notification is a title. Okay. And n dot set content text is be specified already. So title also is specified as a sample notification text and titles both are sample notification. Subtext. Set content subtext. I mean subtext means if you see from WhatsApp, first you will get a title you will get as Manoj, and below of that, for example, my friend sent a message as good morning or good night. I sent a message. For example, Manoj will get as title, and a text you will get as good night. Okay, so that is nothing but subtext. Set subtext. Okay, so here we'll specify a message as sample notification for demo. Specifying a message as sample notification for demonstration. Okay, and the last thing is, for example, in here if you drag the notification, you'll get the description about that notification. I'll show you once again. Once, if you drag this notification, you'll get some description about that notification. You'll get here. You'll get some description about that notification. You got a message from so and so person. If you select that notification, we'll call that one particular activity. We'll call. If we select that particular notification, we will call one activity. We will call. Okay. So that is nothing but pending intent. Okay. What is the next one? Pending intent. So we have to understand what is meant by pending intent. Pending intent is subtype of intent. The title is what? Pending intent. So pending intent is what? Pending intent is subtype of intent which is called by later. Subtype of intent which is called by later after some time. Immediately if we call any activity, that is intent. Immediately if we call any activity, that is what? Intent. Pending intent means it's a subtype of intent which is called by later. See, I got a message I got from my friend, but immediately I will not see that one, right? Later I will see that one. Whenever you select that notification, it is going to call that particular activity it will call. So that is nothing but with the help of pending intent. Okay. The syntax of pending intent is pending intent is equals to pending intent dot, there is a method called get activity is a method. Pending intent is equals to pending intent dot get activity is a method. First parameter we have to specify the context. First parameter we have to specify as what? Context. Second parameter is a request flag. Generally we never use a request flag. We'll specify as 0, we'll specify 0. Third parameter is the intent object. I mean intent object, again we have to specify 0, fourth parameter. So which activity you wants to call when user selects that notification. So let's specify that activity in the intent object. Intent I is equals to new intent. I dot set component is a method. New component name. First parameter will specify the context. Second parameter will specify the class name. When user selects the particular notification, which activity he wants to call, so we had to specify that one in the pending intent. Okay, so that one will we had to specify here the notification object dot set content intent. So for this content intent, we had to create an object of pending intent class. We had to create an object. Let's create an object for pending intent. Intent is equals to pending intent is equals to pending intent dot pending intent dot get activity is a method. Pending intent dot get activity is a method. We had to specify first parameter is we had to specify context. We had to specify. I told you right. Wherever you find it, wherever you find a statement called context, so blindly you can use a method called get application context. Second thing is request flag will specify 0, and third parameter is the intent object. So when user selects that particular notification, which activity he wants to call, let's specify that one in the intent object. Intent I is equals to intent I is equals to new intent, which activity he wants to call. Let's specify that one by using set component method. New component name. First parameter we had to specify the context. There is a method called get application context to get the context object, comma. Specify the class name, which class you want to call. I want to call the same class I want to call main activity dot class. Main activity dot class. Okay. So here, third parameter we had to specify the intent object we had to specify, and fourth parameter again request code 0. Okay. Set content intent. Here we had to specify the object of pending intent. Okay. Set content intent of pending intent object we had to specify. Notification manager dot notify is a method. We had to specify two parameters. First parameter is a notification ID. What is the first parameter? Notification ID is the first parameter, and second thing is a notification builder object. First parameter is notification ID. You can specify any integer you can specify. I specified as 1 I specified. Second thing is which object we need? We need the notification object. But for which class we created object? We created object for notification builder class we created object. But we need the object for notification, not for the notification builder. So if you call n.build, see here, what is the return type of this build method? Notification is the return type for this build method. So let's call the build, we'll get the notification object. Okay. So first parameter is a notification ID. Second parameter is a notification object. Actually, we create object for notification builder class. We created object. That builder class contains a method called build method. If you call this build method, we'll get the notification you will get. Okay. And so try to set auto cancel true. I mean, once if we select that notification, automatically it is going to remove that notification. It is going to remove on notification path. If you want to remove that one, we had to specify this method. We had to specify set auto cancel of true. Then only it will dismiss the notification automatically. Okay. So we'll test the application. Let's see whether it is displaying the notification or not. It is loading still. If you see, you can see in the console still it is installing the application. Yeah. See here, there is no notifications in the notification bar. So once if you drag this notification, so it's going to give the notifications. So now there is no any notifications on the notification bar. Okay. So once if you select this notify button, see I selected notify button I selected. So once if you select notify, I got one notification on notification bar. We got a notification on notification bar. We got a notification. Okay. See, even I destroyed this activity I destroyed. So now there is no application in the stack. Okay. Completely that activity is removed. Now if you drag this notification, now if you drag that notification, see, this is what the notification is specified. What is the notification title and the notification text? This is the notification title we specified, sample notification and sample notification for demo. Okay, so we got our own notification we displayed in the notification bar. Once if you select that notification, we are calling that particular activity we are calling. Okay. See, the notification is happened at what time? At 10:21 we got a notification. But what is the current time now? 10:22. Meaning this event is already happened at 10:21, but we are calling that one later we are calling. So if you want to call any activity later after some time, so we'll create an object called what? Pending intent is a object. Okay. See, we got that particular class. Whenever we set a notification, we are calling that particular notification class we are calling. Okay, so that one we specified in the intent object. Whenever we select a particular notification, which activity you wants to call, we specify that one in the intent object we specify. Okay, and by using this property set cancelable of true, automatically it will dismiss a notification. Whenever you select that notification, automatically it will dismiss. Whenever you select that notification, automatically it will dismiss that notification. It will dismiss on notification bar. See, I selected notify button. I selected. We got a notification. We got. Once again, if you select this notify button, you will not get a new notification. I mean, you will get a notification, but you will not get a separate icon because the notification is already there in the notification bar. Okay, because here we specified notify is a method. First parameter is a notification ID. Second parameter is a notification object. First, it is going to check with this notification ID, is there any notifications is there in the notification bar or not. If notifications already there with this notification ID, it will not display any new notifications. I'll repeat once again. First, it is going to check with this notification ID, any notifications are there in the notification bar or not. If notification is already there, it will not display new notification. Just it will update the existing notification, it will update. If you want to create a new notification, see if I select 10 times, if I select this notify button, 10 times I want to display a notification, I want to display a new notification. So every time if you want to get a separate notification, every time if you want to display a separate notification, if you want to display every time, we had to specify a unique ID we had to specify. We had to specify what? A unique ID we had to specify for this notification object. So that's why what I'm doing is before this notify method, I'm taking one count value I'm taking, int count is equals to 0. Int count is equals to 0. Here in place of 1, what I'm writing is I'm writing plus plus of count. Meaning I'm increasing. Every time count value I'm increasing, this notification is going to be displayed on notification. Okay, so let's test the application. See, whenever you click the notify button, one notification you got. Once again, if you select notify again, you'll get one more notification. So every time you'll get a new notification you'll get. Because every time we are generating a unique ID. With this ID, if there is no notification on notification bar, it will display a new notification. If already any notification is there in the notification bar, with this ID, will not create a new notification. Okay. First, we'll check with this ID notification is there or not. It's already there. It will not display. If you want to generate a separate notification, every time we have to specify a unique ID. We have to specify every time. Okay. See here, every time we are specifying a unique ID, so that's why we got multiple notifications. We got. Okay. So this is about the notification service. So any queries in this? It is the entire logic, notification logic. Okay. So any queries? All right. Okay. So we discussed three services we discussed up to now. There are six built-in services. So we discussed three services. We discussed three services we discussed up to now. One is location service, sensor service we discussed, and notification service we discussed. Okay. So we discussed remaining these three services, this Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and vibrator, because we cannot test these services in emulator because emulator won't support the Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and all. Okay. So later we'll check. I mean, in the next class we'll discuss these three services. We'll discuss in the next session. But now what we'll do is we'll discuss the dialog boxes. We'll discuss. We'll start the dialogs class also. We'll start parallelly. Total, there are six types of dialogs are there in Android. Okay. One is a custom dialog. One is custom dialog. Second thing is alert dialog. Custom dialog, alert dialog, date picker, custom dialog, alert dialog, date picker, time picker, custom dialog, alert dialog, date picker, time picker, and progress. Again, in the progress dialog, there are two types of dialog boxes are there. Again, there are in progress. There are two types of progress dialogs are there. One is the custom dialog. One is a custom progress dialog. Another thing is one is custom progress dialog. Another thing is alert dialog. Custom dialog and alert dialog. And one more type of dialog is dialog fragment is another one. Okay. So these six types of dialogs we'll discuss. Okay, in Android: custom, alert, date picker, time picker, progress, and dialog fragment. I mean, we'll discuss these things. Right now, I don't have a mobile cable, USB cable. So that's why the tomorrow class we'll discuss these three services. But now, just to save the time, we'll discuss these two things: custom dialog and alert dialog. These two dialogs will start now. Okay. What is the first type of dialog? Custom dialog. Okay. I'll do one thing. Just I'll send you this code. I'll send you notification code. If you want to save, you can save this code, the notification code. I sent that notification code in the chat box. If you want, you can save somewhere. Okay. One second. So what is the first one? What is the first kind of dialog? It's a custom dialog. Okay. So put a heading custom dialog. Custom dialog. By using custom dialog, we can create our own user interface. By using custom dialog, we can create our own UI and we can display the UI on dialog. Okay. So custom dialog, by using custom dialog, we can create our own user interface. We can create our own UI and we can display the UI on dialog box. We can create our own UI and we can display the UI we can display on dialog. We can display the user interface. Okay. So for all the classes, dialog is a super class for all the dialog classes. Android dot app dot there is a class called dialog. This dialog class is super class for all for all dialog classes. Android.app.dialog is a class. This dialog class is super class for all the dialog class. I mean all the dialog types. It may be custom or alert, whatever it may be. This is a super class for all the dialogs. So if you want to display your own user interface, first we have to create an object for dialog object. Dialog is equals to new dialog of, here we had to specify the activity object. Okay. d.setContentView is a method. In this setContentView method, whatever the user interface you want to display in dialog, let's specify that user interface. d.setContentView is a method. r.layout specify the XML file. Whatever the user interface you want to display in dialog, we had to create one XML file we had to create for that user interface, and we had to set that XML file by using d.setContentView is a method, r.layout.xml file. And so d.show is a method. d.show is a method for displaying the dialog box. But here we have few limitations here. That is, if we want to get UI components from dialog XML, if we want to get UI components from dialog XML, if we want to get UI component from dialog XML, add dialog object before find UI ID method. Basically, if you want to get any UI component, if you want to get any UI component, we use find UI ID method, right? But here, if you want to get any UI component, for example, I want to get one button I want to get from dialog. What we had to do is button B is equals to, we had to write button, but generally what we use find UI ID method we use. But here, before this find UI ID method, we had to add the dialog object we had to write dialog object dot find UI ID, r dot id dot your ID of the dialog. I'll repeat once again. In case of activity XML file, directly we'll write find UI ID method will write directly. But if you want to get the UI component from dialog, before find UI ID method, we had to add the dialog object we had to add before find UI ID method. Okay. And another thing is, if the UI component is available in dialog XML, if UI component is available on dialog XML, we cannot configure the events using XML. We cannot configure the events using XML. We cannot configure the events using XML. By using Java, we can configure the events. By using XML, you cannot configure the events. Only by using Java only, we can configure the events. You can configure. Okay. So my requirement is. So let me explain my requirement. Here I want to create one button. I want to create a button. I want to create called custom. I want to create one button. I want to create called what? Custom is a button. Okay. So I want to create a button called custom. So once if we click the custom button, my requirement is I want to display one. So if we click custom button, I want to display one dialog box. I want to display. If we click custom button, I want to display one dialog box. I want to display. And here for this dialog, I want to display one title. I want to display. For example, message is the title. Message is the title for the dialog. Okay, and I want to display one message. I want to display here, that is, are you sure want to exit? This message I want to display to the user. Okay, and I want to create two buttons. I want to create here. One is yes button and one more thing is no button. Are you sure want to exit? I want to create two buttons. I want to create. One is yes and one more thing is no. Yes and no. So once if user selects yes button, if user selects yes button, completely will close the screen. Will close completely. Will close the screen and will destroy the activity. I mean, will close the. If we select no button, only dismiss this screen. This dialog is there, right? Only will dismiss this dialog. Will dismiss. If we select S button, if we select, we'll close the dialog, will close, and completely will close the screen also will close. Activity also will close completely. Okay, that is a custom. And we'll create one more button, we'll create call. We'll create one more button, we'll create, that is, one is custom, and we'll create one more button call. Okay, that is next one I'll discuss. So this is our requirement. When you click the button, so I want to display this screen, I want to display. Okay. So let's create a project, file, a new project we'll create. Let's take my project name is dialogs test is a project. Okay. Empty activity. So just we'll create two buttons here. I mean, first we'll create a button here. Let's create a button. First we created a button we created called custom. So create a button called what? Custom. Create a button called what? Custom is a button. Let's configure the click event for this button. On click is equals to custom. Android colon on click is equals to what? Custom. So whenever you click the button, so it is calling one method. So in Java file, let's create that method custom. Okay. So whenever you click the button, so we are calling a method. What is the method name? Custom is a method name. So whenever user clicks that button, we are calling a method called custom method. We are calling. So in this custom method, so let's create an object for dialog class. So dialog d is equals to new dialog of. We'll specify the activity object. Will specify. So this means we'll get the current activity object. We'll get. This means we'll get the current activity object. We'll get. And whatever the user interface you want to display, whatever the user interface you want to display on dialog, this is the user interface. This is a UI I want to display on dialog. I want to display this user interface. If you want to display the user interface on dialog, if you want to display UI, we had to create a separate XML we had to create for this user interface. So let's create a new XML file, layout, create one new XML file, Android layout resource file, taking the UI file name as dialog I specified, in place of this linear layout I specify as relative layout. Maybe some problem with the rendering problem. Just I want to display a message I want to display here. That is, are you sure want to exit? Are you sure want to exit? This is a message I want to display. Okay. So below of this message, I want to create two buttons. I want to create. One is the S button, and another thing is no button. Okay. So S button and no button. So we'll create two buttons. We'll create here. Yes and okay. We discussed right if the UI component is available on dialog XML, we cannot configure the events. We cannot configure by using XML. We cannot configure the events only by using Java. Only we can configure the events. We cannot configure by using XML. So now what we'll do is, so we'll display that XML file on dialog d.setContentView r.layout.dialog. Okay, this is the XML file we created. D.show is the method. We are displaying the dialog. We are displaying on the dialog. Let's run the application and see. I think boss, we created an XML file. Whatever the user interface you want to display on dialog, we created an XML file we created. Let's specify the title for this. D.setTitle is the method. What is the title you want to display? Message is the title you want to display. Okay. Now let's run the application. So select the custom button. So once if you select custom, we are displaying our own user interface on dialog. Message. Basically, we had to design properly because of that rendering problem, we had not aligned properly. Okay. So message is the title we specified. Are you sure want to exit is the test we messages we specified, and yes button and no button. Now we had to write the logic for yes and no. We had to write the logic. So once if we select no button, just only we had to dismiss the dialog. We had to dismiss. And if you select yes button, completely we had to close the screen. We had to close. Repeat once again. If we select no, just we had to close the dialog. We had to close. If we select yes button, if we select yes button, completely we had to destroy the activity. We had to destroy completely. Okay. Completely we had to destroy the activity. So if you want to get the UI components from dialog XML button, yes button is equals to button of find UI ID is the method r dot id dot button 2. Okay, but this button is available from dialog XML, so that's why we had to specify this button is available on dialog XML. So we had to write d dot find UI ID. Meaning explicitly we are specifying to the to Android this XML is available on dialog. So that's why I specified d dot find UI ID. And another button, so no is equals to button of d dot find UI ID r dot id dot button 3. Okay, so we have to configure the click event for S button and no button. S dot set on click listener, S dot set on click listener, new view dot on click listener. Okay, and no dot set on click listener, new v dot on click listener. Okay, so this on click listener contains an abstract method. Implement that method called on click. Okay, so even this no method also contains a method. Implement the methods called on click. So whenever you click the S button, it will call this method. Whenever you click the no button, it will call this method. My requirement is when user selects the no button, just we have to dismiss the dialog box. So we'll write the statement d.dismiss is a method. Only it will dismiss the dialog box when user selects the no button. If user selects the S button, we have to dismiss the dialog. D.dismiss is a method, and completely we have to destroy the activity. We have to come. If you want to destroy the activity completely, so we have to call the finish method. If you call dismiss method, just only to dismiss the dialog. Completely, if you want to destroy the activity, if you want to destroy completely, we'll call a method called what? Finish method. And it's showing one error, that is if you are accessing a class variable inside the listeners, we had to specify that class variable with final modifier we had to specify. I'll repeat once again. If you are accessing any variable, if you declare that variable inside the method, not the global variable, if you want to access that variable, we have to declare that variable as what? Final modifier we have to specify. Okay. So now we'll test the application. Now we'll test the logic for S button and no button. Earlier, there is no events for this yes and no. Now we configure that events we configure. So when you said still it's loading. So custom. If you select no button, just only we are dismissing the dialog box we are dismissing. If we select no button, just we are dismissing the dialog box. If we select S button, we are closing the dialog we are closing, and completely we are destroying the activity. Okay. So one second, I'll repeat once again. What is your project name? Dialogs test, right? Sorry. Yeah. So custom, just only we are dismissing the dialog. If you select yes button, completely we are closing the activity we are closing completely. Yes. Meaning instance variables we have to declare as final. Or another solution is if you don't want to make it final, declare that variable globally declared. That's it. Okay. So this is about the custom dialog. Okay. So practice these two things: the notification object and the custom dialog, notification and custom dialogs. Okay. In the next class, we'll discuss the remaining services. Okay. And after the next class,
So I
we'll
have a
discuss.
question.
Yes.
Uh, so why do we prefer SQLite storage to other storage mechanisms like shared preferences, SQL, etc.? Why do we prefer only SQLite storage in Android?
Who preferred? See,
Yes, sir.
that is based on your data was. If you want to maintain limited data, like one or two values, if you want to maintain, go for shared preferences. Okay. So if you want to maintain the huge amount of data, like I want to maintain 10 employee details, each employee contains 10 columns. Basically, limited data, you can go for shared preferences. Okay. If you want to maintain the huge amount of data, if you want to maintain, go for SQLite database. That's it. Okay.
Okay, when we use XML for storing the data.
XML, if you want to transfer the data, for example,
All right.
I want to store some data in Android first, then I want to shift to some other place. Then at that time, you cannot transfer the SQL database, you cannot transfer, right? So which one you can transfer? XML you can transfer.
So one more last question. When we use shared intent.
Shared intent. I never used that. Never heard also.
This was asked that today was an interview based on Android, or this was asked that what is the difference between explicit intent and shared intent?
See, where is the shared intent? See, I'm typing a class here. See, there is any class called shared intent, right?
Okay.
Okay then. Maybe shared intent means
Okay.
this pending intent, I guess. Maybe his question is regarding the pending intent. Okay then. Okay. So thank you and work on these two things, notification and custom dialogs. So tomorrow we'll discuss the remaining services. Okay. So thank you guys. See you tomorrow.